All right, everything looking good. We are live. Go ahead and get this stream started. Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with our Sunday evening market look ahead. It is 8:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 26, 2023. And as always, before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Okay, so well, I guess we'll start off with your boy. Justin Sun, the founder of TRON, allegedly did some fraud and stuff, crypto related, of course. And if you're not familiar with Justin Sun and TRON, he is the one that went viral for saying at a conference, "Buy my shitcoin," when talking about TRON. So naturally, what would we expect from the TRON chart? You would expect to have fallen off a cliff, as he's basically under arrest with his fake McLovin ID, grabbed up by the authorities, allegedly $1 billion market cap, massive illegal doings. I don't want to imply that he's an actual criminal or anything, because he hasn't been convicted yet technically, but I mean, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's probably Justin Sun. So naturally, obviously, this thing has fallen off the cliff and gone straight to zero. Oh no, it hasn't. Oh, it's still trading at 6.4 cents, the same place it's been trading since it peaked out back in February of 2021. Oh, okay. So I guess no one cares at all. I guess everybody that's in on this one just already knew what was going on. So we'll spend a special minute here looking at TRON to tether on Binance. But yeah, not much to see. So basically, I bottomed out back here a while back, some pretty scam wicks, put in a higher low, put in another higher low, and then another higher low after that. So it's basically just making a series of higher lows, which is good. And then on top of that, it's reclaimed the 200 exponential and simple. 200 exponential is on top. It is above both of them, and they both have a blue slope. So while it is below the 8 and 21, it's very close, banging its head on them, and looks like it actually wants to continue to the upside on that slow grind. Now we do have to look out for this hard sell signal right here on the on the jewel rather. The blue and pink stochastics have crossed, bear cross. Not one of the strongest signals right here, as we weren't up inside the bullish control zone. But with everything else, it actually, as crazy as it sounds, doesn't look terrible. So if TRON already didn't look good, and then on top of that, Justin got arrested and it basically looks the same, I guess pretty much anybody that's going to ever think less of TRON that has at least heard of it probably already sold. So the only people that are left are the actual TRON cult. And we know they're not selling, because for the last 2 years, it just went sideways inside what we'll call the cult consolidation. You like that? A little play on words. It's a combination of cult and also consolidation. So that's basically, the consolidation zone right there. Now, obviously, this looks like a giant descending triangle. And then it looks like, basically we kind of poked our heads out of here. We're not going to get super technical on this, because obviously no one's going to trade this trash because it's complete garbage. But just in case somebody is, we'll look at it. And honestly, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad where it's at right now. Like clearing this little, pocket, getting out of the little consolidation or cult consolidation area, basically going to let it get out of here. It's already broken out of descending resistance, and then it would just be operating inside of this little area. So a breakout right here, and probably new all-time highs. So, and then maybe that will coincide with something like Justin Sun being acquitted, because actually TRON is a really good project and it's making the world a better place. Anything's possible. I doubt it, but let's not rule it out. Allegedly. So yeah, okay. So we took a look at TRON real quick. What's going on, Durwood? TRON still exists, says Hex Evolved. Apparently, yes, for now, and it's not even doing bad. It's not doing bad. They're like, oh, buy TRON, buy. Good news, because Justin Sun got arrested. Therefore, he's not in charge of TRON anymore. Therefore, it's more decentralized, and more decentralized is good. Therefore, price go moon? Maybe. All right, so let's jump in over here on the TNX. So we saw that TNX break down finally to a new low right here. It took out all those previous lows, and then it did get that back test push back up. So actually the day wasn't that big of a deal one way or the other. We had two big selling candles and then the gap down, push back up. But I mean, at this point in time, we have lost the 200 exponential and simple. So while we are getting around the area of exhaustion, we're also at the area where we could easily invalidate any potential bearish divergence. So we have a low right here, we have a higher low, and then as of now, we're still higher. And then here we have a low, then we have basically a slightly lower low, and now we have a clear lower low. So there is some potential for some bullish divergence to enter from this area. But I mean, honestly, I'm almost done with rates. The truth is, depending on what time frame you're looking at and everything like that, I think there's a good possibility that we've actually topped out. Now, arguably, you could say, okay, we topped out. I'm going to turn off the drawing tools for this cycle. But like since we bottomed at 0, we had a freaking aggressive run to the upside. So I'm not saying that we don't take out the high before we go back down to the lows. I don't think that at all. But it's not crazy for me to think that we're going to retrace some of this massive bull run up from 0 up to 5. And you guys know, obviously, you know, my goal was 5. My prediction for Fed's run rate was 5. So we already hit it. You guys know the system is, we're already seeing some quick shaking out, some breaking, banking sector, some fear, all that stuff. We're not really seeing it in the markets as much as we're seeing it reflected in, you know, the actual like sentiment, in my opinion. Like some of the money is run in certain places and everything like that. But if people were truly afraid of the banking sector breaking down, if they were really afraid of, you know, a crash in society and banking and currencies, like the stock market wouldn't be raging. Like things don't just go about like normal. So I don't really feel like the fear is there. I think it's more like the Pavlov dog, like they ring the bell and people salivate. So that being said, it's not crazy to think that we see rates come down some, we see some time go by, and then eventually we put in a higher low and continue to the upside. Now, that doesn't have to happen. We're likely going to test back to the upside at least one more time to see, and we're at extremely low levels, starting to run out of steam. So I don't want to rule out that, you know, we're going to bottom here soon and then continue back up to higher levels, but there's a strong case to be made, both fundamentally and technically, for at least some kind of retrace. Now, how deep is it going to get? I mean, that all depends. If we go from, I think I have it on here already, but if we go from the bottom here to the top, you know what I'm going to do actually? Just trash all this. There we go. So if we just go from the bottom to the top right here, we see the first main area of interest for a retrace would be the 236. And matter of fact, looking at this nice and clear on here, we see obviously at the 1, then we see a nice interaction at the 886. Nothing too clean at the 786. A little bit of a test, and then back test at the 618. And then the 0.5 acted as some resistance through here, back test as support. And then we see at the 382, a very, very clear test here, acted as essentially like that ascending triangle, and then breakout back test. So we're seeing some clear interactions at all these fib levels, including the 236. So it seems like, you know, potentially we topped out and we're coming back to the 236, 2.5%. Now, does that have to be the cycle bottom? No. Could it be 1.75? Could it be 1.3? Sure. But the thing we're looking out for is we broke out of a downtrend and now we're starting an uptrend. And more importantly than not, we're looking for a higher low at some point in time. Now, does any of that have to happen, or did yield just keep skyrocketing to the upside? You know, honestly, there's just so much data that could change my honest opinion that it's tough for me to judge right now. I would say it could go either way. Dow Jones. So we've been looking at this little inverted head and shoulders, kind of cockeyed little thing going on here. You could draw it probably a little prettier, a couple different ways. Maybe it's something a little more like that. Doesn't really matter. The point is we want to see a higher right shoulder than the previous low right here, and then we want to eventually get up here and test to the upside. Now, while this looks like a good entry or potential entry right now, we need to keep in mind that we did lose the 200 exponential and simple. They're both bearish, and we're underneath them for now. So as long as that's the case, you know, my inclination is that we continue to the downside. But when we get down there, though, let's not get bearish when we get to like 30K. Let's not get bearish there, because that's the potential for like a nice solid entry. But of course, if we do get there, the markets are going to feel bearish. They're going to look bearish. SPY, again, consolidating at the 200s. You know, as long as all of these are basically consolidating at the 200s, we almost have to look to a longer time frame to see what's going on. So if we look to the weekly here, We're back below the 8 and 21, but we're above the 200s. So pretty weak, but still technically bullish. And then if we flip over to like the monthly, that's where we get, essentially, we've lost the 821. The bear cross has taken place. And now we're just consolidating below those moving averages. So my inclination on the monthly is like over time higher, but first lower. So it seems like we're going to have to test the lows again. Buying pressure is starting to run out here. But, you know, consolidating at resistance, maybe we're chewing through those sell orders and we're getting ready to break out to the upside. I think the real thing for me is, if you ask me, okay, if you're going to make a prediction about the future, what's the one data point that you want to know going forward for the period of time you're going to forecast the stock market? For me, it's inflation. Because the best, in my opinion, the most likely scenario that leads to new all-time highs on the stock market is if inflation persists. Because that's really all we need. Because if nothing changes and we just have 5% inflation every year, like the stock market's going to go to new all-time highs. Your buying power might not go up, but the prices of everything will, including stonks. Triple Q's by far the strongest right now. Testing the previous highs here, closed a new weekly high. If we go back and take a look at the weekly on this, we did actually take out that previous weekly high. So now the next area to watch out for is like 332. Building up a bunch of momentum with bullish divergence. You know, tech and the Qs look good right here. And, you know, I can't imagine that's based on anything other than the pray for the pivot. IWM, Russell breaking down. So it threatened these lows right here, broke down and then back tested them, similar to what we saw in yields. So we lost support and now we're back testing it as resistance. If it holds as resistance, it looks like the Russell is headed down to retest the lowest low ever. Well, this cycle. Which would be right around like that 164 level roughly. But it does look pretty tired down here in the bearish control zone. All red histograms starting to show a little bit of life at these levels. It's not crazy to think that the stock market's going to try to pop to the upside again. And as we go into our tech stocks right here, you'll see there's even more signs of that. First, we'll take a look at the DXY. So DXY did so far put in a higher low last couple of days, consolidating to the upside. What we're looking for, what we've been looking for, paying attention to, and what we're seeing the signs of right now is the potential of that higher low. Now, we don't know if it's going to happen, but realistically, what you want to see is a back test of resistance, a pullback, higher low, and then a back test of resistance again, which in this case, we're still looking for that 200 simple. Does it have to get up there? No. 106 is the target, though. And where do I invalidate? Basically, if we take out the low at 100. But, I mean, this thing has been playing out pretty nicely. Still in the bearish control zone. Still a bunch of red histograms. Below the zero. Below the blue slope. You know, maybe that's it for the dollar this cycle. Maybe that's it, at least for this run. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, everything looks like it wants to flirt with the lows one more time, but could easily start pushing up. So, you know, everybody's confused right now or just waiting. I don't know what it's going to be. Some big breaking news event or like some trigger situation, but nobody's really committing like one direction or the other. And that's what's leading to like so much indecision. Like it was an easy buy down here when everybody else was selling on Tesla all the way back to the reversion of the mean, the retest of 200s. But now, I mean, Tesla looks like it's going to go lower. It did get the 821 bull cross back in action here, so that's okay. Looks like it wants to test up one more time. I don't know, though. Blue slope line is well above the histogram here. So maybe we're going to creep back up here one more time and then get rejected with a little double top, probably. Microsoft looks strong, broke through that previous resistance, closed at new highs. Looks like it wants to test up here to 294. Don't get mad at me. I'm just reading what the charts say. Apple at that resistance from the descending slope line right here. Again, anything above this level is basically a breakout and new all-time highs on Apple. Google threatening that previous high right here. Almost done with the measure move. Obviously, the backtest of 236 is right there as well. So wouldn't be crazy to see us at 112 or maybe 118 on Google. Quite a bit of resistance or at least chop through this area, though. So I would expect like a slow grind up if it continues that way. Meta still has that gap down here at the 200s. Probably going to get filled eventually, but it looks like it wants to creep up here a little higher to 219 first. We do have to be careful of bearish divergence on these tech stocks, as I think it's a lot more of not people selling than it is people actually buying. Amazon is next on the daily. Definitely still very, very weak. If it decides to catch up and just touch the 200s, we're talking about like a 10% move. So, and then the real move back to that 0.5 or the 618 even. We're talking like 125 or so. So, about a 25% move on Amazon. Now, does it do it on this track? Probably not. It's used a lot of energy and it has gone nowhere. But tech is still looking good. And we see that reflected in the Qs, obviously, as well. So let's take a look at our cryptos now. Obviously, we already talked about the most important one, TRON. Things are going great. Well, I mean, for TRON, they're going great. Not so much for Justin. Bitcoin on the daily here, still well above the 200s, still consolidating at this level where you would expect consolidation to take place. We do see some weakness, a bunch of red histograms. Looks like we're rolling over here, getting ready to lose the bullish control zone, getting ready for the hard sell signal, which point in time you would think we're going to come back and retest around 25,000 or maybe even as low as 22.7. But for me, as long as we're above the 200s and there's slope to the upside, as long as there's all this fear about inflation and uncertainty, maybe not all the shit coins out there, but for me, Bitcoin's a buy on any pullbacks to key support. Bitcoin futures, very interesting here, as we are essentially closing that futures gap right here. So everybody was talking about this futures gap right here and then the new futures gap right here. But we obviously have this one from way, way back here at 28.9. And essentially that's what we did. We came up and we closed that gap on this most recent move. So does that mean that's it for this move? Are we going to go higher? Who knows? But we perfectly closed that gap when we came back up there. So that being said, my next target to the upside is that 236 or either one of them, I should say, and that ascending support, well, should be resistance now, right around like that 33, 34K level. We'll find out soon, though, if we're going to keep moving to the upside or if we're going to come back and have that pullback. But again, I'm looking to buy like 25K if we come back down to it. But I do think eventually we'll be up here at 35K. There's definitely a lot of fear right now. ETH on the daily looks very, very much like the Bitcoin chart. The obvious target for ETH to the upside is 2,000. Seems very, very likely. And then the pullback target would be like 1,700, potentially like 1,600. So total market cap on the daily. So at that resistance still, again, the longer we consolidate at resistance, the more likely we are to break through it. We have bullish divergence potentially playing out off of our bottoming pattern. Key resistance right here. If we can get through this resistance, we have some more at like 1.3 trillion. But realistically, the next target goes back to like 1.8 trillion. And, that's essentially like, I mean, roughly like 51% to the upside if we get through this level. So, and give or take, some of your cryptos are going to do a lot less than that. Some of them are going to do a lot more than that. Let me know if you know which ones are going to win. I'm just kidding. Don't spam all your altcoins in the chat, please. Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. So if there was ever a chart that we made our bitch, this is it. It literally did exactly what we said. Played out perfectly at resistance now. This is the decider right here, okay? We can look at whatever we want. We can look at a Bitcoin chart. We can look at a shitcoin chart. We can look at, whatever we want, an ink blot test. But the truth is, this is it. If Bitcoin gets through this line right here on the Bitcoin dominance chart, it's going to blast to the upside. And we're talking about it taking, essentially 10 to 12% of the market cap. And the measured move is slightly higher than that. And then we're talking about reclaiming the 200s for the first time in the weekly. I mean, things are changing. That means like altcoins are dying. The SEC's coming out investigating people. They're arresting founders of crypto coins. I mean, in this hypothetical situation, like there is crackdown on crypto. They're going after bank accounts. IRS is, locking people up left and right. What's that? This just in? All that's actually happening right now? Okay, so I could see a world where Bitcoin actually does outperform shitcoins based on that. I wasn't aware. Okay, so that is happening right now as we speak. So yeah, I mean, definitely a possibility. Now, if this fails, if it rolls over, whatever, I mean, that means all the cryptos are either de-risking, going into stable coins, or getting even more risky, moving into shitcoins and out of Bitcoin proportionately. Now, if we take those stable coins out of the mix, we say Bitcoin is really taking market cap away from stable coins, as this is a much more bullish chart. Now, we don't have 200s on the Bitcoin dominance, less altcoins, aka Bitcoin versus the shit coins. But it does seem very obvious that 56% previous top, which is only like 2.5% from where we're at now. So it's not even that much. It's like one candle away on the weekly. Momentum still in its favor. Pretty aggressive knife stab. Looks like it wants to go higher though. Probably going to print some kind of bearish divergence though, unless it really skyrockets up here. So we shall see. But I mean, right now, if you're going to be in Bitcoin or altcoins, you know, we're deciding, but it looks like Bitcoin still. So Matic had some organic price action. Doesn't look like anything too crazy. Yeah, it looks like a pretty normal move. 76% downside. Yeah, it was probably nothing special. Just a normal wick. Definitely nothing scammy about that at all on Bitstamp. They must be having some liquidity issues because we saw all kinds. There was like scam wicks on Bitcoin, on everything. So probably not the best chart to look at, but still on top of the 200s. Still worth paying attention to. Any cryptos that are on top of the 200s and both have a blue slope on the daily, you know, I'm by the dip on. As crazy as it sounds. Bat consolidating below resistance. This thing looks like it's going to try for one more push up here. It looks like it wants to roll over, but I feel like that's just an amateur move. So we'll see if it pushes up to like 29 cents. And I'm just looking at random cryptos because you guys don't even request them anymore. You don't even care about all the shit coins to you guys are dead. And you know what? That's partially my fault. I don't want you to give up on all of them, though. Some of them are winners. Matter of fact, I want you to tell me which one are the winners, and then I'll just double check. Not because I don't believe you, but just to make sure. XRP, speaking of winners, finally reclaimed the 200 exponential and simple, consolidated above those levels. It's actually looking okay now. Broke through that clear descending resistance, back on top of all of the 200s, threatening. Well, there's nothing threatening about XRP. It's more like sort of like bumping up against resistance. Definitely not threatening anything, but like, you know, maybe like begging to be let loose. Begging to get continuation to the upside, pleading for some positive price action. But yeah, I mean, does it go higher before it goes to zero? It probably does. The key thing here is going to be taking out the 0.5 and then also this orange level right here. That's going to be the key. Because if we get through that, realistically, we're talking like 60 plus cents. And you're like, 60 cents? That's insane. That's like 50% up from XRP's extremely low price right now. I know. That's crazy. This thing could just sail. Now, keep in mind, it's underperformed everything since the beginning of time, with the exception of like crypto scams that have went to zero. And even some of those, you know, allegedly people being investigated for fraud still have better charts than this, which is absolutely crazy. Oh, wait, they're also being... okay, so yeah, XRP, of course, because they got the court thing too. So they're all losers. They're all trash, allegedly. So gold is next. A little bit of that Zao action. So it found support on the 200s. Looks exactly like the Bitcoin chart right now. I know what you're thinking. You're trying to fool us. This really is a Bitcoin chart. And then you're going to switch it at the end and be like, ah, gotcha. It's not gold. It's Bitcoin. Nope. It is actually the gold chart. So this is it. I mean, since basically all the fears of the banking crisis, we saw gold and Bitcoin have exactly the same move. Both look pretty toppy. Gold is at a clear resistance right here. The real question is, it double topped here. It's lower now, but it is above that descending resistance, all of which are in yellow to make everything just as confusing as possible with all these colors. We're like, what should we use for this next one? You want to go yellow again? Yeah, okay, we'll stick with yellow. Great idea. So this is it. I mean, we're literally at like the line in the sand. If gold starts to go higher from here, it's probably about to go ripping and a-roaring to new all-time highs, which isn't crazy because in most currencies, gold has already been trading at new all-time highs for some time now. And I'm not just talking about like the little poke up right here. I'm talking about gold compared to a lot of other currencies is like considering continuing to melt up. So, I mean, the dollar is the cleanest pair of undies in the old hamper, but they're still dirty undies. Let's remember that. Silver, I mean, weaker than gold, but really, we just got to see what happens. It's back above the 200s. That's good. We're still watching NEO on this. It did have a nice little bounce off that level, a little move to the upside. So we'll see what happens. Getting on top of the 821 and having the bull cross. I really am looking to play that upside move here. I think we talked about it. I believe we put some trade setups on here. No, we didn't do that. Not at all. Bullish divergence. I'm pretty sure we did. We talked about this quite a bit on one of the most recent streams. So 35% upside to back test of 0.5, 57 right here. And if we take out the lows, you know, potentially get out. But we're talking like 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 risk reward ratio for the upside trades from here off of the macro 618. So I'm going to take a stab at it. I think I meant to take a stab at it on Friday and forgot, honestly. Alibaba. So at that right shoulder right here, starting to round it out as we like to see. So if we extend this further. Oh, you know what? Maybe we did the trade setups on Alibaba, but it was basically like that same thing. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah. So 39%, 92%, a couple 100%. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's funny too because everybody got really bullish on China for a little while, and then they were extremely bullish right here, and now they're getting extremely bearish right here. So it makes me want to get bullish again, until we get up here. And then maybe we'll get extra bullish if we're going to break out. But overall, it doesn't look bad. So let's check back in on these AI stocks. So we saw AI, C3 AI, had a nice little pushback up off of that level, that same support level. So we topped out here once. We topped out here twice. I would imagine we're going to top out around the same area again. The way I look at this is just we're trading inside of a pretty clear channel, I think. There's nothing really going on here. I mean, it's about as basic as it gets. We're just basically chopping around in this range. So as long as we're in there, we sell the highs, we buy the lows, and then we see what happens. Probably going to come up here and, printed a little divergence the first time. So is this going to go to a new high and print divergence again? Maybe. Hard buy signal off the support. Man, that thing looks like it wants to rip. Sound Hound AI, SOUN. So we did drop down to the macro 2360 again, or the 618 retracement. And now we're starting to push back up to the upside. So, look, again, if this tech stuff's going to keep running, I don't see why these AI stocks aren't. Hard buy signal, bunch of green histograms. I'm taking a stab in these things. There's definitely some potential here. We're looking at basically, hey, let's not take out the lows and let's retest some key fibs or moving averages, like 2 and 3 to 1 risk reward ratios. So Big Bear AI is the next one. We bounced at 618 literally perfectly. So we started to close that gap, bounce back up. We're back above that previous high support, back above the 0.5. I don't love how this looks right now, and I hate to play things with like a giant air pocket just looming, but looks like we're about to print a hard buy signal, and then realistically, we're talking about like 37 to 55% upside right here. So I'm probably just going to take a little stab at it. Nothing big though, just a little guy, just a little fun. Maybe we even get that 95%. Maybe we get a double up, a dub ski. We'll see. All right, let's check out GME. So I did something that no one should ever do. Went down a dark rabbit hole. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe I had too much to drink. Maybe I went too long without sleeping. But for whatever reason, I decided to look into the gaping hole that is GameStop's fundamentals. That's right. I dabbled once again with my second favorite F word. And honestly, it's like not great, but it's not terrible. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys with that because I know you hate it, but I looked at it and it's like not even that bad. Granted, it's trash. They're bleeding like $300 million per year, but they have like $1 billion cash. So they've got like 3 years of existing before they even have to worry about like, hey, what are we going to do to keep existing? So while I do think this is complete trash, we're basically just in this descending consolidation channel. So like, is it possible that something could be complete trash, but it could still be popular? Well, yeah, we've seen that all throughout history. All kinds of trash has been like a fad, popular, existed for way longer than it should have. So is GameStop just going to be the next thing? I don't see why not, honestly. Now, granted, you're going to get wrecked if you buy it right here because it's just going to gap straight back down and close the gap at like 19 bucks. But maybe not. I don't know. Regardless, though, when and if this thing does eventually break out of this channel, we're just looking at basically a measure move from the range that it's been trading in, which is the descending channel. I don't want to get anybody excited. Obviously, none of you guys would ever touch GameStop because you're not complete degenerates, with the exception of like 1 or 2 of you guys. But you're open about it at least. $64 is the target, so it's like 200% upside. So I'm obviously you lose all your money, and you deserve it if you buy into this complete trash right here. But when this thing does break out, it's probably going to have a pretty aggressive move to the upside. And I know what you're thinking. Are you drunk right now? Why are you saying nice things about GameStop? I'm just being honest with you guys. I wasn't expecting it either. It took my breath away. I had to check the ticker twice. I was like, is this something else that has the same ticker as GameStop? But no, that's it. It's the truth. This video is sponsored by GameStop. I just want you guys to know that in advance. They did pay me to talk nicely about it. Full disclosure. But no, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy as it is. We retested the 382. It looks like it wants to come up here and try to test the 236. I don't know if it's going to get there. And realistically, the downside target of like $9 seems more likely. But, you know, sell resistance every time we get up to it. Buy support every time we get down to it. Worked out pretty well so far. We've tested the 382 a couple times. So the upside potential on the current move right here would be, in my opinion, the 236, 47%. Back down to the 382 is about 35%. And then realistically, where we're probably headed is like 60-something%. But I mean, if this thing hangs on for 3 more years, maybe there is a buying opportunity around like $9. And then you ride it back to the upside. So we'll see. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I just naturally assume that it's complete trash because, well, every GameStop I've ever been to has been in a mall, and malls are extinct now. So, but maybe they have like some online thing where you like mail them your stuff and then they just like send you back $3 and tell you to go after yourself. Because that's the only experience I've ever had there. I don't know. Maybe there's other stuff. Let's talk about Lulu. It's been a while since we talked about this trash. Obviously, it's a good company. It's literally just printing money. They make all of the sweatpants and sweatpant apparel at Walmart. Apparently, though, they're working on some contracts to be carried by the dollar store as well. So we'll keep our eye out for that. They are a budget brand for sure, okay? Not the type of thing you want to get seen in public. But honestly, from what I understand, decent products. So for a budget company that sells at, you know, your basic stores, including dollar stores and stuff like that, not bad. And the stock, pretty good overall. So fundamentals are phenomenal. Earnings are coming up shortly. Basically been consolidating in the zone from where we were looking to enter at, and then also where we didn't want to be in the trade at anymore. But we back tested that descending resistance beautifully, and also, you know, touch tips with what would amount to our stop loss. And now here we are, just back at that level again. So did we build up enough excitement to finally catapult this thing to the upside? I don't know, but it's the exact same situation. 20 to 30% upside. Maybe it goes to new all-time highs. People are not going to stop shopping at Walmart and buying sweatpants. That's for sure. So as long as those two things are factually true, that Lululemon is exclusively carried at Walmart and also they make sweatpants, I think it's a good investment. What's up, Magic Internet Money? Good to see you. Finally catch a live stream. Glad to have you. Tech seems like everyone is thinking AI. Yeah, it's a little bit of AI bubble, but the actual AI stocks aren't really doing that much. I mean, if we look at like Nvidia and stuff, oh, forgot to look at them. If we look at like Nvidia, Microsoft, stuff like that, sure, definitely makes sense. Google, I mean, it looks okay, I guess. Bitcoin looks bullish. I still like Hex. Really? Are you a fan of Hex? I did not know that. Are you? Who cares about gold anyway? You won't care until it actually like serves its purpose as schmuck insurance. I love GameStop. I'm old enough to remember buy games from a shop. Yeah, back in the day, man. I'm talking about when you would take stuff in to trade it in though. And you're like, how much for this? And they're like, we have one copy in stock that we're selling at $42. So we can give you $2 cash. That's clean money too. I'm like, $2? What? I'm like, I'll just take it outside and throw it in the trash for $2. I don't even want your money. But yeah, okay, so that was it. I didn't have a ton on the list today. That was like a super quick stream. So I wasn't really expecting to just bang through everything. But yeah, all right. That was literally all I had. I got nothing left for you. We looked at all the stuff. We did all the things. It only took 30 minutes. We laughed. We cried. I mean, what an experience, guys. I had a great time. Did anyone else have fun today? Did you all enjoy yourselves? Was that a good experience? Hex Evolved says thumbs up. I mean, if Hex had fun today, I mean, I'm good with that. So appreciate everybody stopping by. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. I ran out of stuff to talk about. Never thought that would happen. So I guess next week, if you guys want to do some requests or something like that, we're open to it. I'll pull up some stuff, though. I got some pretty sweet ideas that I plan on hitting this week. I'm probably going to drop out a couple static videos, so keep your eyes out on that. I have like 2 particular things that I think could play out quite nicely. So So, but overall, really just looking for some of these markets to develop a little bit. It almost feels like at this point in time, we need some kind of like metaphorical like bomb to go off to like push things in one direction or the other. Maybe that wasn't the best metaphor. We need an event, some kind of fundamental event that we can use to like trigger the buying or selling accordingly. So yeah, until then, just keep our eyes on the bank closures out there. And I mean, hopefully that's it for the crypto fraudsters getting arrested. I mean, alleged fraudsters. But, also don't use the McLovin IDA. Like, I don't know if anyone's actually seen that movie, but all right. So yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed myself. Hopefully you guys did too. Gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. It's a little bit of technical analysis for Sunday, March 26, 2023. As always, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Take it easy, Durwood. Appreciate you showing up as always. I will see you guys in the group. I'll see everybody on Wednesday's stream, 8 p.m. Eastern Central Time. Hopefully no more mix-ups too with the time change and everything. It can be a real pain in the butt, especially for like a couple weeks when some people have already had it and others haven't. And it's like nobody knows what time it is. I mean, except for where you're at. You know where it is there. But in other places around the world, you're like, oh, is it 3 hours? Is it 7? I don't know. Do you know? All right, that's it. Hex Evolve, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, that's right. Get a little bed early. Have a little snack before then. Everybody have a great night. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out.